Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. Pour a cheerful toast and fill it, happy anniversary. But be careful you don't spill it, happy anniversary. Oh, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.
Welcome to Ladies Talking Leafs. I'm Chris.
And I'm Sil.
And it's an extra special show for a couple of reasons. Boy, you got to say that a few times. Extra special. There's a lot of Leaf news to talk about, and it's our 4th anniversary. Yes, 4th anniversary of our show.
Woo!
Yay!
Yes, it has been a great 4 years, and we are really looking forward to Talking Leafs for a 5th season and many, many more to come.
Yeah.
Of course, we want to thank our listeners. And with that, we want to celebrate you with a shout out to our audience in the top 4 countries that are currently listening to us right now. So in the 4th spot, we have the United Kingdom. We actually know that hockey is pretty big there. They have their own leagues, and there are a lot of Leaf fans in the UK. So we want to thank all of you that are loyal listeners. We've had some day oneers that are in the UK, and we are so grateful to you.
Yeah, it's really great on social media. We have them as well, so we interact with them there, and it's great to see they're number 4. Coming in at number 3 is the United States, our neighbors. Woohoo!
Yes, our neighbors to the south,
and of course we know lots of hockey fans in the U.S. and lots of Canadians that live in the U.S. and that listen to our show, and we're thankful for that. And Leafs Nation is everywhere, so I'm sure that they just want to keep up to date on the Leafs, and they've chosen our show, which is great.
And then coming in at number 2, this is actually a country that has really just latched on to the Ladies Talkin Leafs community, and that is France. So we have a lot of listeners there, and they are avid. So we thank all of our Leafs Nation brethren over there in France for listening to us.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from someone from there too.
Yeah,
like if you want to DM us or our social media, that's at LTL1917, or send us an email, ladiestalkingleafs@gmail.com. Because we'd love to hear from our listeners in France. That would be really cool. And then number 1. Who do you think number 1 is, Sil?
Well, I believe it would be Canada.
Yes. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's and obviously I think I'm pretty sure, I didn't actually look it up. I shouldn't say this, but I would think it's Ontario that's the that's the majority of our listeners, and that makes sense. And Leafs Nations all across Canada. We know that they follow the team all the time, and they go to the games, whether it be out west or in Montreal, the Senators games. You always see Leafs Nation. So it's great. It's nice of all our listeners to just to tune into our show, and we'd love to hear from all of you. Basically, to let us know what you like about our show, and and just to talk Leafs too, if you want to just have a chat.
And we are definitely very happy to represent Canada for Leafs Nation. So another reason to celebrate, we want to talk a little bit about the new PWHL, so the Professional Women's Hockey League. Finally, an official showcase for the best female hockey players in the world. This is really, really big news coming down this week. Lots of excitement. General managers being named. Happy to see that 4 out of the 6 were women. And of course, Brian Burke being named as the head of the league, which I think that gives it instant credibility right there, because he's a serious hockey man, a serious hockey builder, and he is going to really grow this game. And so far, it's starting out as an original 6. So
So the league is going to have 6 teams. Some of our listeners, just to give them a brief background, I guess 6 teams: Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, Boston, New York, and Minneapolis, St. Paul. And they're going to have a 24-game schedule, regular season schedule, which will begin in January 2024. So I thought it's for me, I was excited too, because like it has a strong leadership too, like you're saying, with Brian Burke. And I guess one of the leaders in there too is Mark and Kimbra Walter from the Los Angeles Dodgers, their ownership, and Billie Jean King too is involved too. So as part of the board of directors. So that. And then for our team in Toronto, our GM, you were mentioning the GMs were named. It's Gina Kingsbury. So I listened to what she had to say, and yeah, she was I guess she's a former Olympian, and she won gold in 2006, 2010, and she's very excited to basically work with the Leafs too, like, because they were asking her about coming into Toronto, and the fact, you're dealing with all these different Toronto teams, whether it be the Leafs, the Blue Jays, everybody sort of thing, right? So where's this Toronto team going to come in? And she's like, well, Toronto, the last championship for women was the Toronto Six, right? Just last year. So she's like, they're going to build off that and grow the relationships, especially with the Leafs, and to help promote the Toronto team here. So get out and support the team.
I have no doubt that that MLSE is going to throw their full support behind this league. And I think that the 6 markets that they have are really, 6 strong hockey markets. And right. I really, definitely, we just want to encourage everybody to get out there and watch, and watch on TV too. I'm like, that's the thing. Like, it's nice to get out to see the games. We can't always do that, but there's a lot of ways to show your support. So, it's going to be great to see these incredible, world-class players playing and getting paid a decent salary to start. Hopefully that will grow also. And, there will be opportunities for, promotion and sponsorship for some of these women as well. Yeah. So, this is our final patio season episode of the summer. So it's a little sad, that the summer is coming to a close, but it's also exciting because that means that hockey is just literally around the corner. But with that, we want to give you a quick programming note for our next episode. We're going to be back to our normal 2 times a month schedule, but our next show is going to be a little later than usual. Really, we're doing it for you because we want to get as much info and details and potential guests for you as the season begins with training camp and everything around the corner. So our next episode will be September 27th. So the easiest way to make sure that you don't miss any of our shows is to hit that follow button wherever you listen to us, or watch our show on YouTube. You can hit that subscribe button. Yeah. So now it's time to get into our anniversary episode, and we're going to start with some Leaf talk, of course. So much news since our last episode. It feels like forever. Auston Matthews obviously signing, head coach Sheldon Keefe getting his extension. And of course, we're definitely going to talk a little bit about training camp, as that is only a few weeks away, starting September 20th. So the next thing we're going to do is our Ladies Talkin Leaf highlight reel is going to make an appearance again. We're going to give you our 4 top milestone moments from our season for our show. And in our third period segment, we're going to give our tribute to Rodion Amirov and Bob Bond, 2 great Leafs that we sadly lost. And then we'll wrap up the show by basically giving you a little bit of an overview of the schedule and review that with you. So without any further ado, let's talk Leafs.
Okay, so we're going to start off with Sheldon Keefe signing the 2-year contract extension as head coach of the Maple Leafs. No doubt, I guess everybody was talking about, with all the stats that they were giving, how great the team stats are under Sheldon Keefe for the regular season, since he's took over from Mike Babcock. But So he's already 6th in wins in franchise history, which kind of caught me by surprise. And he's going to pass Mike Babcock and move into 5th spot this season after 7 more wins once the team wins its 7th game. So yeah, the only thing that I want to see from him, I mean, yes, his regular season is great, but in the playoffs, going against those coaches like John Cooper and Paul Maurice, like you could, I don't know, there's just something that he's like, he always seems to be a little bit behind in, like a step behind, whether it be playing the games, I guess, between the coaches, like with the press conferences in between, and then during the games, like I was reading, I guess, for that Florida series, for example, where there was that game, I think it was game number 3, I think it was, I'm not sure, but where both Matthews and Nylander had those massive giveaways that they normally never do, those defensive giveaways. It was just like blatant, and like Keefe came out and said like it's baffling. Like, I don't know if that's the right way to, just the way he said it, right? So I'm looking for something, I guess, something different for him that way when he approaches the playoffs and how he deals with the media and says things. And just like the way during the regular season last year, everybody knows how he kind of called out the core 4 and then he walked the comments back and that. So I don't know, I think he can be a little bit better that way. And then the other thing I want to see, hopefully, is that he just has some set lines somehow, like set lines, set deep pairings, like overtime. Obviously, there's a huge number of different players now, so he's going to have to, again, tweak things and try and mix and match the different players that he before he finds something. But they got to build some chemistry somehow, right? So I mean, that's what I basically want to see from him. But I mean, there's nobody really better to choose, like, who is out there, like, no,
like,
just to make a change for the sake of the change.
Other people have been talking about that last summer there was that coaching carousels, like seemed like so many coaches, swap teams, and this year there's really nobody out there, nobody really available, unless you're going to, reach into, the dregs that are not in the league right now.
Yeah.
But I think we've talked about this before. I'm curious to see how he is without that voice in his ear, which is his buddy Kyle Dubas.
Right.
He's on his own now. It's definitely, even though he got the 2-year extension, I think it's definitely a make it or break it year. Mm-hmm. We all know that if there's any team that's going to be able to absorb this contract, even if they, even though he was just given it's the Leafs. So by no means do I think this means that he's going to be here for 3 more years.
No.
But
and the money from MLS, like for coaching, and like it doesn't matter to them. No, whatever. Babcock,
it really doesn't.
Got like 3 years.
I'm curious to see like what he does. I want him to come into his own, to be his own man, and like you said, like not walk back things. So it may mean that sometimes he's not going to say 100% the thing we want him to say, but I just want him to be himself and just do what he wants to do 100% this year. And hopefully it will still give success.
Yeah, and that part of it, like you said from one of our previous shows with Dubas being, let's say, possibly the person in his ear there, that part of it might make a difference in the playoffs for him too, especially. Mm-hmm. Like that might be one positive for it. And it seems like Brad Treliving was, he obviously gave him the contract. He was very positive on the meetings that he had with him and the knowledge of the game and what he wants to do. And
I think I did hear that that Treliving also talked to some of the players as well.
No, they had to,
they all were, wanting him back as well. Yeah. So that's a pretty good vote of confidence from them too. So anyway, I guess we'll see soon if we see a new man behind the mic or behind the bench. Yeah, I mean, he deserves another shot. I think so. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. Moving on to the other guy that Brad Treliving signed, it's Auston Matthews, of course, finally getting a 4-year contract extension. And yeah, so we couldn't be happier to finally have that done. It's interesting, the timing on that. It's just kind of in the dog days, but of course, we're happy to have that news. And that means that we still have our number 1 draft pick for another 5 years. So
yeah, and not many of them. I read an article. Not many of them are stayed with the team from his year of his draft year. Not many of them have. Well, Line obviously is gone. From Puljujärvi obviously is gone too, from their original teams. So that's cool. But I was interested actually in the cap hit, and everybody was tight because it's $13.25 million per year. It starts next season, so we still have them. We technically have them for 5 years, and so it's interesting because right now it's taking up 15.87% of the cap, but assuming the cap goes up, which it's supposed to, they're saying to about 80.
I heard 87.
Yeah, 87 to 88 million. So in that case, that'll be for next year. So when his deal gets in, it's only going to be 15.06% of the cap, which is lower than both McKinnon and McDavid. So and
now we were talking about that before.
Yeah.
That percentage of cap is really what you need to look at.
Yeah.
The actual dollars is insignificant because it all has to do with how much of the cap is he eating up. And like you said, I was totally going to go there, that he's not going to be making more technically than he is now.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, like some of these people that were going on about it was just ridiculous. Like I was like, he's won all like the Hart Trophy, the Rocket Richard, scored 60 goals. The Ted Lindsay, like who has done that as a Maple Leaf in recent memory?
Never. Nobody.
Exactly. So like
zero. There are zero people.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. To me, it's just ridiculous. The one thing I have to say that I loved was the video, the Biznasty video.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved it when he was going on about. He was like, "So all you Leaf haters out there, you are." I was like, oh, so Leafs Nation out there, you got to go listen to Biznasty. I'm sure you all have, or whatever. A lot of people listen to him, but he's one of the biggest Leaf fans ever out there. That's a former player and a big name, obviously. But I'm interested too now. It's just so funny. I saw William Nylander. I don't know if you saw it still. The pictures of him just chilling in St. Tropez with his family.
Yep.
And I'm like, what a difference. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, you've said it so many times that he actually is perfect for this market.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's not worried about it. So you know what? I think that should be a signal to all of us to not worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as I saw that, I was like, he's just enjoying life. So let's us enjoy life and just go through it and see how it goes.
I think that I'm not too concerned if they don't sign the deal before the season starts. I personally think that a deal will get done during the season sometime.
Right.
And I think I don't understand why he wouldn't just sign now though, because when all is said and done, he's going to end up in that 9.5 range.
Because if he wants to stay here, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I
mean, 100%.
all the numbers are out there for him. So I don't see, but obviously I don't know what else there is to wait for, except for that's just him being William Nylander. I don't know, because that's what he does. But yeah, he doesn't seem to care. When I saw those pictures, I was just like, oh my God, the guy's just living life. So Leaf Nation should live life too, and just whatever, go with it. And hopefully it gets done. I mean, if it doesn't get done it has to get done by the trade deadline. Like that's.
Yeah. My thinking is that, I don't know. I see he does seem to like to emulate his buddy Pasta there. So, he got it done sometime in, I think, early March. So, I mean, I could see it happening around then. Or wouldn't it be nice if prior to the All-Star game, it got done then. That's a bit of good news going into that, since the All-Star game will be here in Toronto. Yeah. So,
and I can't believe now people are they're already going into the Mitch sign, like Mitch and JT.
Yeah, I know.
And they're like going beyond. It's like,
honestly, they have to get that. That one is the one that they really have to get done right away, because that will just be toxic if they don't, like really.
Yeah. Yeah,
is for some reason everybody likes to dig into him even more than everybody else, because of course he's from here, so therefore he should just give the Leafs whatever best deal.
Well, hopefully by then
he can, right?
Hopefully by then the cap will be quite a bit higher too, sort of thing, right? Even more so, and we can make room to keep him, because he was only 1 point short of 100 points last season. So,
hopefully he'll eclipse that this year.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll,
Tavares' contract will be coming off the books at that time as well. Yeah. So not to say that Tavares wouldn't be back, but he's obviously not coming back for 11 million, right? So, so things will be looking much better at that point, hopefully.
All right, so before we get into some talk about the Leafs training camp, we just want to take a quick note on the signing of Martin Jones, goaltender, to a 1-year deal worth $875,000. 33 years old, signed with Seattle last year. He played with them 48 games. It's not a great save percentage, .887 save percentage, with a 27-13-3 record. So the record was pretty good. His overall average, I believe, was .905, I think, like from his career. So I don't know. We were talking about it with David Alter a little bit. He actually didn't think that they would sign another goalie. But I don't know. These days, goalies are fragile, and they we know all about that. And Joseph Woll, he can't clear waivers this year, so there's no like going up and down or anything like that, and neither can Martin Jones. It'll be interesting to see if Jones, hopefully he doesn't get taken on the waiver wire, but we definitely need that third goalie to be I guess like a just in case injury, that sort of thing, right? And he's a veteran, obviously, and he's played in the playoffs too, which is good experience. And so I don't know, did you have anything else to add for his signing? No,
I think you covered it all. The whole thing is whether or not he manages to clear waivers, because Leafs goaltenders that get put on waivers generally get picked up. So I don't know, we'll see if Treliving has like a different luck with regards to that.
Yeah, you never know. That's true. All right, so Leafs training camp opens up on September 20th. And prior to that, there is the Prospects Tournament in Traverse City, Michigan, from September 14th to the 17th. And the tournament this year includes the Columbus Blue Jackets, so Mike Babcock's team, the Dallas Stars, Detroit Red Wings, and the Leafs, of course. And well, I guess Babcock won't technically be there. They normally send like the assistant coaches to run the Prospects Tournament. But so we're just going to give a couple players that we want to see them make an impression. I guess on my side, the one player that I think I've spoken about him before is William Villeneuve, the right shot defenseman who played with the Marlies last year. So 21 years old. He played 54 games with the Marlies last year, and actually a few people were saying that he's kind of emulating to be like Timothy Liljegren in some ways. So that's kind of exciting. The only thing is he needs to bulk up a little bit. They're saying like he does need to get the physicality part of his game. But I mean, he had 25 points and he ran their second power play with the Marlies. So he has that offensive ability. And he was 11th in the American Hockey League rookies for D-men, 11th in points. So that's pretty good for his first season anyways in the pros. So so who are you looking for?
Well, the first person that came to mind for me is Fraser Minton. He's come up a lot, and I think even after the development camp, There's quite a bit of discussion about him. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing if he can take another step, because I think he's actually going to be a really decent prospect for us.
Yeah, because we got to start, like our former general manager was saying too, like we got to start seeing these guys come in the pipeline, at least in the bottom 6, let's just say, maybe not at least the third line anyways, try and get somebody that we've developed in our lineup, because they're obviously not going to be in the top 6 right now, as it is. But and the other player that I was interested in is Ty Voigt. He's only 20 years old, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about him too.
Yeah, so he played with the Sarnia Sting the last 3 seasons in the OHL. And last year he had 105 points, 24 goals, 81 assists. That was pretty good. He was our 5th round pick in 2021, and this year will be the first year that he's playing with the Marlies. It's going to be his first pro year. So again, size is an issue because Kyle Dubas and company always seem to be choosing the, except for Matthew Nyes, obviously, but he's only 5'10", 161 pounds, but he's been working on that. Like he's talked about it this off season and trying to build strength so he's not pushed off the puck so easily in that. And so that's going to be one of the big tests with the Marlies going pro and playing there in the American Hockey League. So it'll be interesting to see how he does though, because it's been, I guess he was a pick in 2021. So, and he had to deal with the COVID year thing too. So he lost some time there, but yeah, that's the other guy that I was thinking of. And and obviously we know about, so these guys are going to be at that prospect tournament, obviously. And, but guys like Nyes and Nick Robertson, like those guys we're going to see at the, I don't think, maybe Nyes will be at the prospect tournament.
Yeah, I was wondering that if he and Robertson would be potentially there. Yeah.
I don't know. With Robertson, you may want to keep him away so you don't want any injuries, right? Save that for Leafs camp, right? Hopefully he doesn't get injured. But I don't know. So
the other guy that I was thinking of is you mentioned a right-hand defenseman, and the right-hand defenseman that I'm curious about is, somebody who finally has, crossed the pond and is on our team, and that is Topi Niemelä. I'm actually excited to see what he does when he comes to training camp too. This will really be our first chance to see him really.
Yeah. Because Craig Button, he was really high on him, like in TSN, he was really high on him, like when he was playing over in the Finnish league, and yeah, it will be good to see him come over and again play with the Marlies and.
Yeah, because so far everything that we've seen has been mostly in World Championships. Playing for Finland, and of course. You always hear his name, and I'd like to hear his name playing for the Leafs soon.
Yes, yeah, or at least with the Marlies for now. We gotta give the guy a chance, right? And then,
to basically get acclimated to the North American game and all that.
Yeah. They're saying, actually, I did read something about the smaller ice surface being a good thing for him. So I don't know. So we'll see what happens there. But so there'll be lots of interesting stuff to see with the Marlies. But September is always an exciting month because training camp, obviously, which is what we just talked about, is just around the corner. And but as we mentioned off the top of our show, it is our anniversary episode, our anniversary month. So to celebrate, we are bringing out the Ladies Talking Leafs highlight reel. So let's roll it.
All right. So for the highlight reel, we're going to give our top 4 milestones that happened for our show in this season. So number 4 was our Carolina road trip. So it was amazing to be able to get on the road and see our Leafs again. It's a great experience to be able to follow them. And with COVID, we weren't able to really do too much of that, obviously, for a few years. So yes, going to Carolina, it's a place that we always wanted to go. It's a fantastic town to visit and see a game. Their fans are actually fantastic. They're quite knowledgeable, really enthusiastic. And yeah, it was great. And it was nice to be able to do that again, finally.
Yeah, you can check out our show in November, our catalog of shows, wherever you listen to our show. It's from last November that we basically gave like a On the Road with Chris and Sil segment for our 2022 road trip to Carolina. That was a lot of fun. And
yes,
yeah, we're looking forward to going on more, and we'll get to that in the next segment. But number 3 now is getting our show on YouTube. I still don't believe it's only been since April, I guess.
I know,
with the playoffs.
Not even 6 months.
Yeah, that we've been on YouTube, and yeah, it's been. We have to, or I have to say, anyways, is like you're kind of nervous putting yourself on video and people looking at you and stuff like that. It's a little bit different than the way we used to just have our voices. But I don't know. We've gotten used to it, and it's good. It's I mean, it would be nice to have for myself anyways, too, to have a fancier studio maybe. And
yeah, that's
show
something
off
that we aspire to, definitely. Some better digs for our video.
For our YouTube presentation. But anyhow, for now,
we'll work on it. Still a work in progress.
Yeah, but it is definitely, it's something that we've, I mean, we do this show all ourselves, everything we talk about, and getting it on YouTube and everything. We don't have anybody really
we have no much. People.
Yeah. In the background,
just us.
Right? Just us. So yeah. But yeah. All right. So what's next?
All right. So coming in at number 2, we are proud to say that we surpassed 10,000 downloads, and we actually achieved this milestone in November of last year. So that was actually a really huge achievement for us. And of course, we couldn't have done it without our loyal listeners and fans. And we're so proud of that. And we can't wait till we get to 20,000 downloads, and we're celebrating that.
Yeah, no, it's huge for us. I mean, like we said, we're a 2-woman show, and you know, a lot of other shows that are like on Sportsnet or TSN, whatever, they get 10,000 downloads in like one show, let's just say, right? Or even a couple of shows. But for us, being just a part of Leafs Nation, Leaf fans for a long time, and just doing this ourselves, we're ecstatic, and we thank you so much for getting us to that number. And just hit that follow button and keep listening. All right, and then number 1 was, or is, being ranked number 1 by FeedSpot for Women's Hockey Podcast. So yeah, that was a huge moment, and it's just so funny how I just came across this one day. I was looking up for International Women's Month. I was looking up just women's hockey and just Google it and everything, and then all of a sudden I noticed this thing about FeedSpot and Women's Hockey Podcast. I'm like, oh, rankings, and I decided to go and look, and there we were. And I was like, wow. I was like, so I'm like immediately sending it to Sil, and then and then we put it on our social media. If you follow us there, we put everything there to say, because that's huge. And actually, these rankings, just so that our listeners know, we will put something out there for our family. It was our family that helped us. We gave them a few milestone moments, and they listed it for us, what they thought. So this is the way they also were, like, that was number 1 on their list, to say that that we were actually, I guess, noticed and put out there as number 1.
Yeah, it's nice podcast. that people are seeing our show, recognizing our achievements so far, and basically publicizing it for us, which is great. So it's nice to have that shout out from FeedSpot for sure. Anyway, it's been a great 4 years, of course, and we are looking forward to talking Leafs for many, many more seasons with you. So thanks for listening. And to make it easy, just hit that follow button wherever you listen to our show, and that way you won't miss a podcast. So now it's time for our third period segment. and we're going to get into talking a little bit more about the upcoming season. And of course, we have some sad news that we also want to discuss.
Yeah, so for our third period segment, we're going to start off actually. We wish we could start things off always being on a happy note, but unfortunately in August, we lost two special people. 21-year-old Maple Leaf prospect Rodion Amirov passed away on August 14th after battling a brain tumor that was diagnosed in 2022. So, I just remember from last year, I guess the Leafs actually had him behind the bench on opening night, and I don't know, it just seemed so positive. We were following him on social media too, and he's always seemed to be happy and enjoying life. But in the end, the awful diagnosis it took him, and I want to just read this note from his agent Dan Milstein. He said he only thought of others, and he tried to face each day with a smile, even though he lost his eyesight about 6 months ago and he could no longer walk. So, and it's just, and then when I read that, I'm like, wow, I'm like, because he posted a couple of things on social media, and I don't know, I didn't notice anything like to say that he was getting worse, and yeah, but it was just a sad, awful thing. He's only 21 years old, and he had his whole career and life ahead of him, and and then Dan Milstein also put in another note that Rodion Amirov wrote when he's 10 years old. When he was 10 years old, and he said he wants to become the best hockey player in the world, glorify God, win the Olympic Games, glorify God, win the Gagarin Cup, which is the KHL Stanley Cup version, I guess, and the Stanley Cup, glorify God, and become a good person. So that's what he wrote Rodion Amirov when he was 10 years old. So he got he's gonna get to play with a lot of good hockey players up there, but it's just a sad thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely gone too soon. I would say, he definitely achieved the number one thing on there, which is becoming a good person. By all accounts, he was an incredible young man, and like his agent said, and like I've heard from countless other people that have spoken out about it, that he's just a great kid. And that part also, makes it super, super sad.
It was nice.
I'm just so thankful that the Leafs were able to give him that moment in October when he was still feeling better, and, things were looking up. And so, he may not have won the Stanley Cup, but, he at least, I think, got to feel a little bit of a part of something in that moment. So
I think you mentioned the last show too, the fact that or in one of the shows previous, that he met, like, Samsonov made the effort to actually get him to
put him in touch with Ovi.
Yeah, and they met in that game was our home opener that night last year. So he got to meet him and a couple of other Russian players there. So that play for I'm forgetting what the guy's name is on Washington. Kuznetsov? I think it was Kuznetsov. Yeah. So that, for a kid that's 21 years old, to meet Alexander Ovechkin, a Russian player, like that's something for him. So it's a nice moment for that he at least.
I mean, here we were just talking about prospects and stuff, and he's a kid that definitely would have been part of this program, playing in that Traverse City tournament, right?
Oh, for sure. And actually, just to mention quickly too, our Ladies Talking Leafs insider, Mike Agello, he has he's doing like a top 40 Leaf prospects, and what he's doing, he's always mentioning Rodion Amirov as his prospect profile to begin with, before getting into each prospect that he goes through every day, sort of thing, right? He's giving his tribute that way, sort of thing. I thought that was kind of nice for him.
So lost but not forgotten.
Right.
So we also lost a Leaf great in August as well. Former Leaf Bob Bond passed away on August 15th. He was 86 years young, of course, and we all know of his heroics from the 1964 Stanley Cup final, where he scored the cup-winning goal in overtime versus the Red Wings on a broken ankle, basically.
Yeah.
We were both fortunate enough to have met Bob Bond. I have a picture with him, which is very special to me. He's definitely a player that, for example, my dad, really, really loved, and is probably a big reason why, my father coming to this country as an immigrant, started, really gravitating towards hockey. He's an important player in Leafs history for sure. And a really, really lovely gentleman.
Yeah. No, I met him a few times too at the Leafs, or not the Leafs, the NHL alumni luncheons. It was just amazing to me how he always, like, you could tell, like, he wasn't in the best health, let's just say, but he always wanted to get out and be with people, sort of thing. So he came out a few times to the NHL alumni luncheons, and I just remember the first time I met him, and it was just after, I guess, when we were allowed to come out after COVID and that, and we're all wearing masks and everything, right? And I met him for the first time, and then I didn't know, I called him Mr. Bond. He's like, "Don't call me Mr. Bond, call me Bobby," he says, right? I'm like, well, I said, "You're like a Leafs icon." I didn't know how to approach it, right? But anyways, that's one memory that I have from him. And then it's not funny but sad. Like, now it's 2 number 21s, because Bob Bond was number 21. 2 number 21s on after Bob Bond. Boreas Salming took number 21. So and we lost him as well last year. So it's just funny that the way the game was played back then too. I read some articles from the different newspapers, and it's just a lot of the players, like Dick Duff at the time, a lot of the players said that, goalies didn't wear masks back then, right? And the defense, like Dick Duff said, that you knew that no one was going to be crossing the Leafs blue line unless they wanted, like, to basically be have their head cut off or whatever. Like, it was just different. They had, like, these they use their sticks differently. Like, if you wanted to cross that blue line and you wanted to get past Bob Bond or Tim Horton, like, good luck to you, sort of thing, right? without getting cross-checked or hit or something. So yeah, it was a different game back then, and Bob Bond definitely has the scars for it, and he was a proud Leaf. The pictures that we have with him, he was wearing a sweater with a Maple Leaf logo. He's always supporting the Leafs all throughout, and he played 14 seasons with the Leafs, 964 games in the NHL. He also
played a lot for that time, actually.
Yeah, because he also played 3 seasons with the Red Wings, and he played 1 season in Oakland. He had in Oakland Seals back then. But so rest in peace to Rodion Amirov, and rest in peace Bob Bond. Yeah, but so no doubt they're gonna, like, obviously the Leafs are gonna honor Amirov and Bob Bond probably at the home opener versus the Montreal Canadiens on October 11th. And we actually haven't talked about the upcoming 2023-24 regular season schedule. So we're going to do that now.
All right. So some key dates to mark on your calendar. So as Christine mentioned, the home opener is on October 11th. The longest homestand we have coming up is 5 games. There's 2 incidences on November 4th to 11th, and then again from February 27th to March 6th.
And the longest road trip it's pretty early, actually. It's October 19th to the 28th, going through Florida and then on to Dallas and Nashville. So
there'd be some good dates in there for road trips.
Yeah. And
when the weather's not too bad yet.
Yeah. And the busiest road month is actually in January, with 9 games on the road, and there's 13 back-to-back games this season.
That's actually not as bad as in some
normally
seasons past.
One time I think we had 18 or 19, I think, back-to-backs, I think, from what I remember.
I think we had more last year too. I think we maybe had 14, which again is not horrible, but anyway. Some specific games that you might want to mark on your calendar. October 16th versus Chicago. That will be our first glimpse at Connor Bedard in a Blackhawk jersey. November 6th versus the Lightning. Obviously, playoff rivalry.
Yeah.
That's a matchup from the first round last year, and it'll give us a chance to see how the Lightning are shaping up for this year.
Yeah.
From November 16th to the 19th, this is a very interesting development. The Leafs are participating in the NHL Global Series, playing 2 games in Stockholm, Sweden. And that will be the November 17th versus the Wings and November 19th versus Minnesota Wild. And I believe both of those are actually considered road games. So Red Wings and Minnesota are the home teams for those contests.
Games, no, it's gonna be fun. To see that.
We complained last year that the Leafs never get picked for this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and then lo and behold,
there it is, right? And then like you were saying, that longest road trip, October 19th to the 28th. Yeah, like although Florida, they just had a hurricane there. So I don't know. To go to a road trip in Florida in October still might.
That's true.
Yes,
it's a good point.
Yeah, but Nashville, we've gone to Nashville. Mm-hmm. That would be a good. Good game.
And we went in February in a snowstorm. So this year you have the opportunity to go and have a great time and not have to worry about any adverse weather conditions.
Yeah, and you can see Luke Shen and Brian O'Reilly there.
Yeah, that still makes me sad.
Yeah, but all right. So going on to December dates to mark on your calendars, December 14th versus the Columbus Blue Jackets, the return of Mike Babcock. We'll see what reaction Leafs Nation gives at Scotiabank Arena for that. And then 2 nights later, the guy who fired him, or we think fired him, December 16th versus the Pittsburgh Penguins, the return of Kyle Dubas. Whether or not that really makes a difference, I don't know. Like it's the same thing. Whether it be coach, GM, I don't think they're going to give it either of them a video tribute. And then the NHL All-Star Weekend is in Toronto this year. So that's the weekend of February 2nd to the 4th, 2024. So that's something. It's been quite some time since we had that All-Star game, and So
and there'll be lots of events, like even if you don't end up wanting to go to like the skills competition or the game itself, there's a full 4 days of events at the convention center. So there'll be lots of opportunity for families and kids to get out there and just being a little bit more closer to the game, and lots of fun, different things.
Stuff. Yeah, the All-Star game. We're looking forward to I'm looking forward anyways. I hope they have the mascots. That's all I want to see a mascot competition.
Yeah.
That's my
Absolutely.
Fun.
I do believe that there will be one. And like we were talking about a little bit before, we do have a couple road trip options that you may want to do. For a driving trip earlier in the season, you may want to think about a game in Pittsburgh versus the Penguins on November 25th. It's a pretty easy drive. Pittsburgh is quite a bit closer to us than, say, Philadelphia. So it's only about a 5-hour drive or so from Toronto. So it all depends on where you're coming from, but it's not a bad drive on November 25th. And you can also probably enjoy some of the American Thanksgiving festivities if you go at that time.
Yeah, it's probably better I would think it'd be better to drive than fly there. I mean, it's not that far, like you're saying.
Well,
but
and it's probably it'll be a nice drive because I can imagine there'll still be some fall colors.
Yeah.
So
because that's what we like to do.
Pretty nice drive there.
We like to do on the road with Chris and Sil. We like to experience a little bit of the area too, as well as the hockey game
and near there in Erie, Pennsylvania is Grove City, which is like a really popular outlet mall. So it's good outlet mall shopping there if you want to do that sort of thing, kind of on the way there or on the way back. So there's that option as well.
And we would suggest a road trip to Buffalo, but they don't want us there apparently. So
no.
But even though we don't think that they're going to be very successful at that, but we'll see about that. But for a road trip that's more exciting than Buffalo, let's just say, consider a West Coast trip the first week of January. January 2nd, the Leafs are in LA. On the 3rd, they're in Anaheim, and then San Jose for Saturday night, January 6th. So finally, they're moving it back a little bit towards January. They were doing it a couple of years in November, but it's right after Christmas, New Year. If you have some time off and you want to that's an extra special trip. We want to do that one day. We'll get there, but
and give yourself a little break from the cold.
Yeah. And then also April 16, 17, the last 2 games of the season on the road in Florida versus the Panthers on the 16th, and then the Lightning on the 17th. So,
and those 2 games could have basically standings repercussions potentially.
Yeah.
Since they're in division, so those could be good games to go to as well.
Yeah. So lots of possibilities. Anyways, if it works out for Leaf Station to try and get a road trip in, it's always fun seeing Leafs Nation on the road and chatting with all the fans
and one that we didn't mention, but if you really, really want to go big, you could always go to the Global Series in Sweden.
Yes. Yeah. We'll have more on that.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So talking about road trips is great. So much fun watching our team on the road and seeing what different cities offer their fans. If you are thinking about a Carolina road trip, as I said earlier, check out our episode from November 16th last year, 2022, to get our road trip report from the game we went to last season.
So a reminder again, our next episode will be on September 27th. So hit that follow button wherever you listen to our show, Apple, Spotify, or your favorite app. You can also find us on the Believe Network at Believe.com and on our website, ladiestalkinleafs.com. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is our usual handle at LTL1917.
Yeah, we post. We're going to be posting a lot of stuff there again this year. With we have our show there, and then we post videos from the games that we go to too. So be sure to subscribe, and you won't miss anything. So yeah, and also follow us on social media. We're on Threads now. I'm not sure that it's so popular, Threads, but it's getting there. At first it was, and then it's kind of died down a little bit. But we post stuff on there, and check us out there, as well as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Our handle is at LTL1917. And we'd love to hear from you too. Leave us a rating or a review and let us know what you think of the show. It's easy, very easy on Apple and Spotify. And it's important for our show to get more exposure as a source for Leafs content. And we thank you for taking the time.
And another way to help us out is by visiting our Ko-fi page at Ko-fi.com. You can follow us there. And if you choose to, you can support us by buying us a coffee. Any donation you make will help us make the show even better for you. So you can find a link to our Ko-fi page on our show notes or in any of our social media profile pages.
And thank you to our healthcare workers and first responders for everything that they do.
And as always, we want to thank you for listening and watching. Till next time, go Leafs, go.